Who has your ball? Mm-hmm. Stay. Stay. Okay, go get it.
You don't even have to try. No other lips can make me cry.
It's gonna be the other way around. That you're gonna be green. Yeah. What is that? Insta.
So that birdhouse is right outside my office window. And now it is pouring rain out there. So I'm so glad that we got the little birdies, little baby birds back in their house before it started raining. I feel like a superhero.
And treat kids as if the whole, if you expose.
Okay, so if somebody were to call the suicide helpline, what happens when they make that call?
When they make the call, it is answered by a highly trained, very caring crisis counselor who says, what's going on? And the most important thing that person does is listen. The calls are totally confidential. We don't share information, phone numbers, anything like that. We are there to help the person get the help they need. We can give referrals, but really the most important thing we do is we listen with compassion and caring. Everybody on that line really cares.
Thank you so much.
Showing them this. As you can see, the Hirsch Reuben tool
Bobby is one of my favorite short form writers, and I am so excited that he's gone into the long form. This is his memoir, his debut. It is out today, and I cannot wait to start reading it. I'm going to be participating in a week to change direction. It starts on June 9th, and the whole goal of the week is to do things that help change the culture around mental health. So they can be little things, they can be big things. On changedirection.org, there are some ideas, or you can come up with ideas of your own. If you'd like to officially sign up, you can go to changedirection.org to sign up. And if you just want to follow along, the hashtag is #ChangeMentalHealth. So we are in a week to change direction, and what I'm going to be doing this whole week is I'm going to be reading passages from books that I think are changing the way we think about mental health. And the books are anywhere from picture books for little kids all the way up to some young adult novels that I'm choosing some passages from. Keep in mind, if you are reading one of these selections, the more I learn about mental health, the more I know that everybody's brain is different. And you really have to know your brain and what is safe for you to read. So some of these books may have some triggering content. I don't think that these first books that I'm going to share with you do have any triggering content in them. The first one, these are both by Michael Ian Black, and one is I'm worried and the other one is I'm sad. I'm going to read and being comfortable with emotions, and I think that these two books are really great for that. So I'm worried. And I'm worried as much how my brain works all the time. This guy's a potato, by the way. He's a potato. I'm worried. What are you worried about? The future. Why are you worried about the future? Because what if something bad happens? Like what? Like anything. Please tell me nothing bad will ever happen. I wish I could, potato, but I can't. Why not? Because nobody knows what's going to happen. Now I'm worried. It's okay, you two. Sometimes bad things happen. Like, potato, remember that time you rolled off the table? I was bruised for weeks. And flamingo, remember when you got your beak stuck in peanut butter jar? Peanut butter is the worst. And that time I fell off the monkey bars and broke my arm. All of those things were really bad at first. But over time, they turned out okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop there, so I'm not reading the whole book. If you'd like to pick it up, it is out there in stores. And there's also I'm Sad, which is a similar book, similar style, same characters. I'm sad. Will I always feel like this? I don't think so. I was sad once. I didn't know potatoes could be sad. Why do sad things happen? That's just the way it is. Why is that just the way it is? Because if it were any other way, then that would be the way it is. And it's not that way. It's this way. That doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm going to stop here on this one, but both of these are just talking about feelings with kids. Sonia Sones is one of my favorite authors. She writes beautifully, and the format that she uses is poems that all come together to make a full novel. The reason why I'm choosing these two books is I feel like Sonia Sones really talks about the complexity of mental health and mental illness and speaks about it really honestly. And these are both more surrounding what it is like to love someone who has mental illness and how that really affects every aspect of your life and how you can come to understanding, acceptance, and healing. Stop Pretending What Happened When My Big Sister Went Crazy is a work of fiction, but Sonia Sones wrote it because of her own personal life and experience. My Sister's Christmas Eve Breakdown. One day she was my big sister, so normal and well-behaved. The next she was a stranger, rushing out the door to midnight mass, a wild-eyed Jewish girl wearing only a nightgown. One day he was my dad, so calm and quiet and in control. The next he was a stranger, dragging my big sister away from the door up the stairs, screaming so loud that my ears stung. One day she was my mom, so reliable and good in a crisis. The next she was a stranger, standing stock still with her hands clamped over her mouth and her eyes squeezed shut, not even breathing. That day I sank into the wall, wondering what these three people were doing in my house. And I shouted that they had to stop, even though I wasn't supposed to talk to strangers. The other book I'm reading from is called Saving Red, and it's about a teenage girl who finds a friendship with a homeless teenager who's about the same age who goes by the name of Red. And I'm going to be reading from kind of deep in the book. I love this passage. I felt like it was so honest. And what's happening is that the main character has convinced Red to call her mother and tell her she's okay. I can tell by the look on her face that someone has picked up on the other end. Her cheeks have gone pale as paste. She clutches her throat, then shoves the phone at me. "It's my mom," she whispers. "You talk to her." So I do. But first I put the phone on speaker so Red can hear how she reacts when I tell her mother she's okay. "Oh, thank God," she cries. "Thank God Red's all right. I've been so worried. Where is she? Can I talk to her?" Red shakes her head no, but her eyes are lit up. I wish I could say that this phone call has a happy ending, that Red's mom says she'll hop into the car right now, that she'll drive down from San Francisco and be here in 5 hours to pick her up. But real life isn't a fairy tale. Real life isn't an easily answered prayer. Real life is a hot mess. So what Red's mom actually says is this: is she taking her medication? Red hesitates, nibbling on her lower lip. Then she shakes her head no. When I tell Red's mom this, she says she loves her daughter, loves her dearly, but she still has 2 small kids at home, and when Red's not doing well, she poses a threat to their safety. She tells me that right before Red ran away, she set fire to the living room curtains, a fire that might have burned down the whole house with the whole family in it if she hadn't discovered it so soon. Red shudders. Pixel nudges his nose into her palm. Her mom says she knows Red meant no harm. She knows it only happened because she was sick. And she wishes more than anything that Red could spend Christmas with them, but she can't put Red's little sisters in jeopardy. So Red will have to check herself into a hospital in LA and get back on her medication before she can let her come home. And one last note about both of these books. There is content in these books that could be triggering to some people. So please, if you are vulnerable, consider that before picking them up. Just a Normal Tuesday by Kim Teresi is the book that I am choosing for a week to change direction today. And the reason why I am choosing this book is because I think that it gives a really honest look at the effect that suicide has on family members. In the story, a main character loses her sister to suicide. But the book is really about the healing process after the suicide and how the main character is able to come to feel joy again and to harvest those moments of joy. I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of reading from the actual book, I wanted to read something from Kim's author note because her sister died by suicide, and she talks about why she decided to write this book. Honestly, I wasn't sure I could do it. I knew if I did, I would risk exposing a secret that I had guarded for so long. I was embarrassed to say that my sister had chosen to kill herself. I felt as if people might judge me and her. I was afraid of the awkwardness that the word suicide brings to a conversation, so I simply went with the only child explanation whenever anyone asked if I had siblings. It seemed easier than the alternative. But the more I thought about it, I just couldn't shake it, so I started writing. I kept asking myself how my sister would feel about me doing this. That's when I found her suicide note, which I had hidden away long ago. In the note was my answer. Her final wish to me was that I embrace life and love what I do, that she would always watch over me. So I kept writing. I wrote with the hope that some teenagers might see themselves on this page and know that they were normal. And in writing this, my adult self became my 15-year-old self, in search of answers I would never find, and I was forced to confront feelings I'd buried. I didn't find answers, but what I did find was forgiveness. It is my hope that anyone who has suffered such a tragic loss will seek the help I didn't have. Writing this book freed me from the stigma suicide can bring. It provided me with a roadmap of forgiveness and allowed me to process my loss through a version of the grief camp that I desperately needed at the age of 15. I wish my parents were alive so I could tell them that I finally realized that their loss was as enormous as mine. I just think that it took an enormous amount of courage for Kim to write this, and I do believe that in sharing her heart and her experience in this work of fiction, that she will help a lot of suicide loss survivors and people who have gone through grief find some peace. And let them know it's okay to feel joy again and to feel love again, because this book also is a romance. And it's very much a teen book, and Kim has a great voice for writing for teenagers.